been a while since I've done one of these. Um, I did one on. I did I did more than one, but I haven't done one since winter break. I was gonna do this. It's spring break now. I haven't uploaded the other winter break one yet, so that sucks. But who cares, right? Um, so I was gonna do them this week, but I didn't want to. So the first one I like. I do like this one because it's a dog, and the dog. Well, okay, so it's a dog about to go on like the news, and we our perspective is like off stage, um, and there's a newscaster and like a guest, and the newscaster is saying to the camera, and now, can dogs really talk? We found one that's willing to try right after this message. And there's a dog off stage with a book, like it, and it's like it says like see the ball is right. So like the dog is studying up, as if like they somehow communicated to this dog that like it's their this one is good, but it's hard to explain. It's like the dog may not be able to talk, but they were able to communicate to it that like it should come on the show and try. This one's very layered. I like it a lot. But the dog can read. So I don't know. I don't know where that one's going. The next one is a couple in bed, and below them in their house, we have a perspective from outside the window. Their bedroom is on the top floor, and the woman has woken up, and below them there's another window and of the bottom floor of their house, and there's three monsters in like a band. Like one's got a banjo, one's got a drum, one's got a stand bass. And the woman is saying, well, okay, Frank, maybe it is just the wind. So like this woman woke up because there's three monsters in her house, like loudly playing music. And her husband was like, oh, it's just the wind, go back to sleep. But I really don't think they're gonna be a threat. They really seem like they just wanna jam. I don't know. The next one is the next one's four scientists. Three of them are like horribly deformed, and they've surrounded a non-deformed scientist, and they're trying to get him to drink this like steaming pink liquid that I assume is what made them, like, what destroyed their bodies. But I guess they really want him to drink it because it says laboratory peer pressure. So maybe it's worth it. I don't know. The next one is nuclear war is occurring. Like there's a bunch of buildings just like collapsing as the mushroom clouds go up in the background. But in the foreground, there's a bunch of bugs in a circle on a leaf, just like dancing. Like they know it's not gonna hurt them, so, and they're probably happy the humans have finally killed themselves off. So, they're having a fun time, and I wish them the best. I like this one. This one is a 4-panel comic, and it says various philosophies. And the first one is like, those things that are like the big fish eats the smaller fish, that eats the smaller fish that eats the smallest fish. That's the first one. The second one is the same thing, except it's three like not bulldozers. When I was little, I would have known because I liked construction vehicles, but like the roller, the one that like flattens the asphalt, it's three of those. Steamroller, but not steam powered, maybe. But it's a roller. Three rollers. One's big, one's less big, and one's small. And the big one's about, yeah, it's the same as the fish. The next one is unrelated. It's a bunch of condiments chasing a piece of bread. Like it's ketchup, mustard, and butter on a plate with a butter knife, and they're just like. I am up here.
I'm gonna go get a haircut.
Okay.
Later I'll make either quesadillas or a pasta dish. You can decide which one you might prefer.
Okay. That was my dad. I don't want to stop the video, so I might just leave that in. The next one is oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish it, did I? Well, anyway, it's ketchup, mustard, butter just sprinting after a piece of bread, and like they're gonna kill it or like spread themselves on top of it. I don't know, and then the last one is bread. It's the steamroller from the second panel. This comic is very complicated, but it's the fourth one is the steamroller from the second panel, and there's the biggest fish from the first panel is on the right side coming to eat the steamroller, and the bread from the third panel is running at the steamroller, and the guy in the steamroller looks worried. It's good. It's a good comic, I promise, but I don't know what else I can do to describe it, but it says various philosophies. This one's two gorillas eating bananas, and talking, and one of them's saying, "You know, Sid, I really like bananas. I mean, I know that's not profound or nothing. Heck, we all do. But for me, I think it goes far beyond that." Another good one. 1984 is off to a good start. This one is two cheetahs, and they're like stalking some zebras or zebras if you're not an American. Odd-toed ungulates, the zebra. The cheetahs, one's saying to the other one, "Listen, I'm fed up with this weeding out the sick and the old business. I want something in its prime." So like many predatory animals will hunt the sick and the weak animals first because they're the easiest to catch and kill. But this one, that's not enough for them anymore. This cheetah wants to kill an animal in its prime because I guess it thinks it'll be like the best meat, which is probably true. I think they should go for it. This one is two birds, and there's a man, like a jungle, it takes place in the jungle, and there's a man, like an explorer sinking into quicksand, but like he's done, like he's not getting out of the quicksand. The only thing exposed is his like the top of his nose, his glasses, and his hat, so just like the top of his head is left. And there's a sign that says "Danger, Quicksand," and there's two birds sitting on his hat. And one of them is saying, "Say, there's something wrong here. We may have to move shortly." So the birds also don't know that the birds seem to have made the same mistake as this jungle explorer, and as he's sinking, they're beginning to realize that like it's not just like a rock or something. I don't know, but they can just fly away. So really the saddest thing about this comic is that a jungle explorer man is about to be suffocated in this quicksand. This one is cows. This is similar to some other comics we've seen. This one is 3 panels. It's a bunch of cows standing up like they're bipeds, and one of them in the first panel, and one of them is standing near the road, like they're in a field next to a road, and one of them yells car, and they all go back to being quadrupeds. And as the car passes, and then the third panel, they stand back up. So it's like implying that when humans aren't looking, cows stand on two legs. Not sure why, but that's what we got. The next one is I like this one. The next one's like a couple in their house, and they've just like torn everything apart. They're very clearly looking for something, and but everything has been turned over. They've taken all the cushions off the chair. They've pulled all the drawers out of the dresser. Like tables are flipped over, everything. And the woman looks really panicked, and the guy looks mad. And he's saying, "Now calm down, Barbara. We haven't looked everywhere yet, and an elephant can't hide in here forever." And if you look very closely, the elephant is behind the chest of drawers. So I guess what happened is like there's just an elephant in their house. Like it's like an intruder, like it snuck in and hid. And they know it's there, but they can't find it. And I guess it's like the elephant in the room kind of thing. However, you would think it would be easy to find an elephant hiding in your house. I don't know. There's a lot that could be it's another layered one, but it's I like it a lot. This one's another elephant comic. It's two elephants. One of them's just sat on a human and just like smushed it completely against itself. And the other one's laughing at him, and it says, "Whoa, Frank, guess what you sat in?" So like, I guess it's embarrassing, or maybe not. I don't know. They're making light of the situation quite forwardly. This one's three cowboys, but like literally cowboys, like they're boys. Not they're literally cows that are also boys, but they're like cowboys that are children. And one of them's just crashed his horse into a tree, and the horse is all like crumpled up, and his two cowboy friends are there, and one of them is saying, "What are you gonna tell your dad, Chuck?" So I guess it's like he borrowed his dad's horse, like teens borrow your dad's car and then you crash it. It's like that, but it's horses, I guess. This one is a man walking down a city street, and he's about to pass by an alley, and there's two clowns in it with like cream pies, and they look like mad. But once again, it's like the angry, malevolent smile that we've seen many times. And they're basically like, this guy's gonna walk past the alley, and these two clowns are gonna hit him with these cream pies, and the caption says, "When clowns go bad." This one is two explorers in the savannah, and I don't want to explain this one, but like, it's two explorers in the savannah, and there's like a donkey or a horse or something with a fake rhino horn standing behind like a rhino cutout, like it's pretending to be a rhino to intimidate them. But they have a field guide, and the male explorer is saying, "Wait a minute, just wait a minute. No need to worry. According to this, we're dealing with a rhino mimic." So they thought it was a rhino. Like, it worked, but since they got the field guide, they're abridged of what's going on in this ecosystem that has an animal that pretends to be a rhino. For what purpose, I'm not sure. But there you go. This one's birds in a movie theater, and one of them, instead of popcorn, has like the popcorn bag but it's full of flies, and he's spilled it on the guy in front of him, the bird in front of him, I should say. And the bird with the flies is saying, "Dang, sorry, buddy." So he spilled his flies. This one's a bunch of people in like a crowded-ish cafe, and there's a woman seated at a table, and everyone's looking at her because her head is stuck in like a glass, like a wine glass. And there's a man standing behind her. Everyone looks worried except him. He's like holding up his hand, and he's saying, "Calm down, everyone. I've had experience with this sort of thing before. Does someone have a hammer?" So he's just gonna break the glass. Don't know how well it's gonna work out, but that's his plan. I remember this one. This one's Abraham Lincoln, and he's about to begin the Gettysburg Address, and it shows, like, we have the perspective like over Lincoln's shoulder. He's before an audience, and we can see the speech written out, but unlike the original Gettysburg Address, this one includes a joke before it begins. It says, and so the bartender says, "Hey, that's not a duck," and then in parentheses it says, "Wait for laughter," and then it begins 7 years ago. So, like, as an opener, Honest Abe has decided that he's gonna tell some jokes first, I guess, to like jazz up the crowd. I don't know. But then he's gonna start his speech. I don't know if this is an alternate reality or if this is implying that, like, maybe Abraham Lincoln thought it would be a good idea to have some jokes in the speech, but when he got there, he decided against it because he wanted it to be more serious, or like he didn't think it would get as big of a laugh as he originally thought. It's possible. Abe, he was a funny guy. He put jokes in his speeches. This one's an old woman, and she's filling her bird feeder with fake bird seed. It's like she's got a bag. Well, she's outside, but inside her house we can see there's a bag that says "Henry's fake bird seed, hours of fun, birds can't figure it out." So I guess you put this in bird feeders to like prank the local birds, but it's not real. I don't know what it is. It might just be like sand or something. But I guess she doesn't like birds that much. This one's like 3 butterfly hunters, and they've just come back from a successful hunt, and they're all excited. They're playing music. They got their net hanging out the window, and they're really rowdy. And they got a giant butterfly carcass tied to the roof of their car. Unpleasant to look at. This one's two, I think they're lionesses, but they're hunting antelope, and one of the antelope is really fat and has like short legs. These might be gazelles, actually. I'm not sure. But one of them's really fat and short, and one of the felids is saying dibs. So like that one wants the fat one. This one's like a bunch of tribal people with drums, and they're trying to flush animals into a net, but there's an antelope jumping over the net, or perhaps a gazelle, and so that didn't work. They didn't catch the antelope, but they have caught like a guy on safari who's all tangled up in the net. And it says, "Confused by the loud drums, Roy is flushed into the net." So I guess they got Roy. This is 2 water buffaloes standing next to a water cooler, and there's a guy looking at them, but like, I don't think they're gonna let him get any water. And the caption says "water buffaloes." It looks like they've claimed the water bubbler being water buffaloes. famous fans of water. This one's two bears in a wood or woods, and there's a gun on the ground, like a rifle, and one of the bears is looking at it, and the other bear is talking to him and saying, "Thunderstick? You actually said thunderstick. That, my friend, is a Winchester 30-06. So one of these bears is not really up to date on the concept of firearms, so called it a thunderstick. I guess because it's loud and dangerous. And then the other bear is like very into guns, I guess, and knows like the make and model of the rifle itself. Kind of being a dick about it though. The next one is the next one is a man in a violin shop. It says Stradivarius on the sign, so I guess this is Antonio Stradivarius. Is that his name? I'm not sure. That's what came to my mind. But whatever, I guess it's sort of implying that the man who made the Stradivarius violins has this store on like a street corner, and it just says Stradivarius, and like there's a sign in the window that says violins galore and one that says start the kids on one today, but it doesn't look like he's getting much business because like he's just staring out the window angrily. So I think this is Mr. Stradivarius, but he's not doing too well. But this could also just be like a violin shop named Stradivarius, which I think is equally possible, if not more likely, seeing as how this takes place in the modern day and not in when Mr. Stradivarius lived. This one's two castaways on a desert island under a palm tree. And they look like they've been there a while, but there's a phone booth on the island with them. And one of them is mad at the other one, and he's saying, for the 100th time in as many days, I haven't got a quarter. So I guess they got to this island, and there's a phone booth there, and one of them was like, you got a quarter? And the guy was like, no. And he just asked him over and over again for days, which would get annoying. And probably counterintuitive. The next one is a kangaroo disco, and there's a bunch of kangaroos there, but like a male kangaroo is asking a female kangaroo to dance, and she's saying, no thank you, I don't jump. The next one is a tornado, and there's like a cow, there's a tire, a chicken, but there's also an artist, like a painter, and he's got his easel and his palette and his brush have all been sucked up into the tornado with him, but it's his painting is of the tornado, presumably, so I guess like he saw the tornado and was like, wow, I'm gonna paint that, but then it sucked him up. The next one is a scientist at a microscope, but the microscope is squirting him in the eye, and it's his paramecium humor. So I guess the microscopic parameciums on the slide of his microscope somehow found a way to rig the microscope so when he looked into the eyepiece, it would squirt him, which is an insane level of technical skill from parameciums. I think the scientist, if this is actually what's going on in this comic, I doubt the scientist would be upset about it. I'm sure he would be incredibly interested in how they were able to do that. The next one is kind of sad. It's like Dog Mafia. it's four dogs driving away in like a long black car at night away from a doghouse, and the doghouse is just full of bullet holes. So like this dog crime syndicate killed this dog in a hit and run type situation. Not a hit and run, drive by, that's what I mean. And drive by type situation, and are driving away after doing so. So this not the best, not the goodest of dogs. This one takes place at a zoo, and the zoo director's looking out his window, but also angrily talking to his secretary, and he's angry because three zookeepers have like a giant anaconda that they're carrying, and they're chasing a woman with it, like chasing her out of the zoo with a giant snake. And he's saying, "Take another memo, Miss Wilkins. I want to see all reptile personnel in my office first thing tomorrow morning." This one is a woman who is talking to her husband, but he's just like melting onto the floor. It looks like he just doesn't have any bones, but he's still sitting in a chair. And she's saying, "Erwin, you're nothing but a spineless, slimy, gelatinous blob." There, I finally said it. So I guess she's been thinking that for a while, but didn't want to hurt Erwin's feelings, but it seems to be the truth. This is like a king leading an army of soldiers to, I guess it's his castle, and he's picked up the welcome mat that's in front of the door, and he's saying, "Well, this is great, some imbecile has taken the key from under the mat." So like they can't get into the castle now, I guess. Or maybe it implies that someone else is in there now, but I think the joke is that there's a welcome mat at the castle. In fact, I'm fairly certain. This is a kangaroo that is experiencing survivor's guilt. It's a kangaroo on a busy street, and there's like a bunch of people crowded around a man who's like, I guess he's dead. He might not be, but like a man has just been hit with a boomerang and is either dead or unconscious, laying on the sidewalk, and there's a bunch of people gathered around him, including a kangaroo. And the kangaroo is thinking, that was meant for me. So like this kangaroo acknowledges that someone is hunting him with a boomerang, or her. I'm not sure if the males have pouches, but the kangaroo knows that the boomerang was probably meant for it. Not the man. I don't know. Maybe not. This one is it's outside a house. There's a couple inside the house. The woman's looking out the window. The man's reading a newspaper. And there's a dog outside welding the trash can. I'm not sure why, but the woman is saying, "Vernon, that light, the Jefferson's dog is back." So I guess the Jefferson's dog comes over and like welds things at their house, but they don't like that. This one is it's a man in an alley, and there's these three ducks there that are, I guess they're like laughing at him. And it says, "Quartered by the street ducks." Phil wasn't sure what to do, and then he remembered his 12 gauge, and he's like pulling a shotgun out of his coat. So Phil was walking down the street, or walking into this alley, I guess, and these three mean-spirited ducks, one of them's got a cigarette, like followed him down the alley to give him a hard time, I guess. Because they're like just laughing at him. But he didn't know what to do, but then he remembered that he carries around a 12 gauge with him. And he's like, oh, I can take care of this problem. So he's just gonna kill these 3 ducks and leave, I think. So I guess that'll solve your problem, Phil. But seems a little extreme. This one also takes place in an alley. It's a man with a stick, and he looks really angry, and he's walking down the street, and there's a giant squid in an alley, but like the squid is hiding from the guy. And the guy is saying, I've had it. This time I've really had it. Jump the fence again, Willie. Dang. So I guess it's either his pet or like he keeps it prisoner. And it frequently escapes. But he's about to find it. The squid looks really scared. So I don't know. I think I'm on the squid side. This one is called Pet Tricks on Other Planets, and it's 6 panels. It's about an alien and an alien's pet. And in the first one, the alien says Zorf, and then its pet like inflates. And then the next one it says Kuna Funi, and then the pet, like its eyes go. It has 3 eyes on stalks. And its eyes like extend a little bit, and then I guess that's not good enough for the alien, so he says, or they says, Kuna Funi. Funi! So I guess Funi means like extend. Because it didn't extend enough? Its eye stalks? I don't know. Seems fine to me. I don't like that one. This one's a bunch of flies having a party on like a garbage can. There's 3 flies and they're having a really good time, but there's one fly inside the house that the garbage can is at, looking out the window, that looks very sad because it probably can't get out and is gonna die without seeing its friends again, and that's why it's sad. But it can be tortured by eternally having to watch them until it dies. This one, I don't want to do this anymore. This one is 2 scientists and the remains of a 3rd in the jungle, and they're like reading the caption says, here's the last entry in Carlson's journal. So like they found Carlson's journal and like but like all his stuff is like in the trees and like ripped and everything. And they're saying, here's the last entry in Carlson's journal. Having won their confidence, tomorrow I should test the humor of these giant but gentle primates with a simple joy buzzer handshake. So Carlson went into the jungle to like study gorillas or something, and he brought a joy buzzer to test their sense of humor, and he did it to them, and then they just killed him and like ripped him apart. This one is another. It's very similar to the dog one, with the Jefferson's dog, yeah, but it's an alligator, and it says, it's a woman. Once again, her husband's reading a newspaper and she's looking out the window, and we have the perspective of the animal outside, well, from behind it. And she's saying, it's back, Arnie. Okay, get the book. We're gonna settle whether it's an alligator or a crocodile once and for all. Oh, okay, so this crocodilian comes to this house often, and I guess they're not worried about it. However, they do frequently have arguments about whether it's an alligator or a crocodile. I'm pretty sure it's a crocodile, actually, but I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. This one's like, so it's the first date. It's a clown going to pick up his date for their first date. But he's brought a pie with him, and as soon as the female clown opens the door, I guess his plan was immediately to hit her with the pie. And like he's got his arm back, like he's ready to hit her with the pie. And she has her arm forward, like, no. And she's saying, hold it right there, Charles. Not on our first date, you don't. So like I guess clown etiquette states that you gotta wait a few dates before you hit her with the cream pie. This one is two like southwestern natives, and they got mayonnaise. I think this comic is still, I think it's still gonna work what their plan is. So like, you know how there's that myth where like Native Americans would bury people up to their heads in like ant hills and then cover them with honey so the ants would like eat them, I guess. I don't know. But they're doing that to this guy. They got him in the ant hill, but one of them has a jar of mayonnaise and he's saying, "You fool, bring the honey," I said. This isn't the same thing. So I think they're gonna coat him with mayonnaise instead of the honey, or at least like one of them thought it would be fine, and I bet it will have the same effect. I'm sure something will come to eat the mayonnaise and ruin this guy's day. So I think they'll still be able to effectively torture this man with mayonnaise. This is another crocodilian, but this one's in a courtroom, and I guess he's the accused, and he's admitting to the crime because it says, "Well, of course I did it in cold blood, you idiot. I'm a reptile." So, I guess fully admitting that this crocodile / alligator did whatever crime it did in cold blood. This is another Tarzan one. It's three gorillas swinging on a vine past Tarzan's treehouse, and his wife is yelling at him, and he's like standing and looking sadly at it, and she's saying, "Well, you've overslept and missed your vine again." So I guess the vine only comes like once a day, and you gotta be up to catch it. This is a bunch of scientists at a seminar, and they all have ducks, except for the subject of the comic, which is Professor Leibowitz. And like, there's a guy presenting holding a duck. Everyone in the audience has a duck, and Professor Leibowitz looks really worried. And it says, suddenly, Professor Leibowitz realizes he's come to the seminar without his duck. This one's a bunch of sheep and cows, and they're all just standing up, having drinks. But they don't look, they're all, like, the sheep are with the sheep, and the cows are with the cows. Like, they're not mingling. I think it's supposed to be like they're kind of at a party type situation, but they're only talking. It's like middle schoolers at a dance. Like, the cows are only talking to the cows, and the sheep are only talking to the sheep. And they don't really seem to like each other either. Like, they're glaring at each other. And there's two cowboys there on horses. And they're saying, "Well, what have I always said? Sheep and cattle just don't mix." This one is an alien, and I guess the alien's dog-esque pet. And the dog has, like, brought the lunar rover back in its mouth part. And I guess the alien doesn't want it in the house. It's like if your dog brought a rabbit in the house or something, I don't know. And saying, "Ah, no, Zuki, Grocket, Bok, Shoosh, Shoosh." We don't need to spend time on that one. This was kind of nice. It's like violent, but it's the caption is "The Origin of Clothes." It's another caveman comic. There's a caveman with a spear hiding behind a rock, and he's naked, but he's hunting something. He's looking at some animals, preparing to hunt one of them, I guess. And he's looking at two antelopes, but there's a rhino in the background. All of the animals have clothes on. He doesn't. The rhino's got like a hat, a shirt, pants. One of the antelope has a tie, a shirt, and pants. One of the antelope has a dress on. And the caveman is thinking Una would like that one on left. So I guess animals wore clothes until we stole their clothes from them. I don't know why animals stopped wearing clothes. I don't know how this comic explains that, but I think it's kind of nice that he's gonna get his wife some clothes. He's hunting with his wife in mind, and that's what I appreciate about this. Or I guess, I don't know if they had the concept of marriage. This one I like. This one's woke. It's it's a guy and his son, and they're looking at a bird in a tree, and everything around them is fenced in. Like they all have, it's in the suburbs, but every house has a fenced in yard. And they're in theirs, and they're looking at a bird, and the man is saying, "And now, Randy, by use of song, the male sparrow will stake out his territory, an instinct common in the lower animals." So, Randy's father is a very ignorant human who believes in anthropocentric myths of human superiority. But if you look closely, humans are doing the exact same thing as this bird, because humans are animals with no other distinctions from other animals. And he is simply too blind to realize that. This one is a woman feeding birds. But there's a group of birds that have broken away from the birds that are eating from her seed bag. And a bunch of them are raising, the lead bird of this small group is saying, "I've got an idea. How many here have ever seen Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds?" And a bunch of them are raising their hands. So I think they're just gonna kill this woman and take her food. But I think what's impressive is that they've seen the birds. Must be I've had birds like the birds a lot. This is another bird there's 3 bird comics on one page. This is 2 birds in bed. And they're looking at their feet. And they're saying, one of them's saying, "Well, I don't know, Warren, I think your feet may be uglier than mine." So I guess they're just discussing who has uglier feet. But they don't look too interested in this discussion. So it's not a fight. I think they're just talking about it. They're like, who has uglier feet? This one is those Russian dolls, the dolls. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like that, except with sarcophagi, and it's 2 Egyptologists in a tomb, and they just keep opening sarcophagus after sarcophagus, and there's just a smaller one inside, and one of them is saying, another little casket? So I guess they're getting frustrated. This one is 2 cavemen rolling a stone wheel down a hill, and a dog is chasing it, and that's it. This one is it's a lady taking her snake for a walk, but she's also carrying a giant scooper thing. I guess when the snake shits, it's really long. I don't know about that. I don't know how snakes defecate, so I'm not gonna dispute it, but that's what it is. This one's 2 cavemen, and they've got a chart with tallies. One side says eat, and the other side says don't eat. The eat side has 10 like tallies, and the don't eat side has 13. And what's going on is one caveman is, I guess, making the tallies, and the other caveman is just like going up to animals and biting them. And in this one, he's just biting a woolly mammoth, and the woolly mammoth doesn't look very happy about it. And so I guess what they're doing is just biting animals, and if the animals like kill them, they put don't eat. But if they don't, then they put eat. Seems like a bad system, and I'm sure that's the point, but still. um this one is like, so what's happening is it's like this there's a big cloud over this house, and it's just sucking a bunch of it's sucking the dog, the golf clubs, the TV, the piano out of this woman's house. And there's two people there, but the woman who presumably owns the house is dressed all in black and has a veil. So, and the caption says, it's George, he's taking it with him. So, what's going on in this comic is like George is up in heaven, or like he's in the clouds. And George has died. However, he's come back to his house to like take his shit. Like, and his wife is not happy about it. Like, she's trying to get it back. So I guess after George died, he was like, no more of her. And like, I don't know, I guess he's living it up. He's living the bachelor's life in heaven, but he decided to take all his stuff with him, including the dog. Don't know how that's gonna work out. This one's like a Jane Goodall thing, but with like burrowing rodents instead of primates. It's a scientist in their burrow, and she's got a notepad, and it says, and she's writing March 5th, 1984. After several months, I now feel that these strange little rodents have finally accepted me as one of their own. So, yeah. This one, it's a cave woman and her two children. Her daughter is like hugging her and crying, and she's yelling at her son, and she's saying, "Groppy, bad, no put things down Una's back no more." And there's like this weird horned slug monster like slithering away. So I guess he put that on Una's back. A lot of the women in the caveman times are named Una. This is another caveman comic. It's two cavemen have just killed a saber-toothed tiger, but one of them broke his club in the process, and the other one's saying, "Always keep label up, dag." So I guess the proper way to use a club is you gotta keep the label on the club up, or else it breaks. This one is a snake in bed, and it's got a really long bed because it's a snake, but that's not the joke. The joke is that the snake is dreaming about going to like a roadside stand that just says free wiener dogs, and there's a guy just handing him a fat wiener dog, and Snake looks really excited, and it says Snake Dreams. This one is 7 penguins and a polar bear with a fake penguin nose on an iceberg, and the penguins haven't figured out the polar bear is a polar bear because one of them is saying, "And now Edgar's gone, something's going on around here." So the polar bear is eating the penguins, but they haven't figured out that yet. This one is an anteater comic. For people like me, we're a fan of anteaters. Very exciting. But it's anteaters, and they're in a cafe called Cafe du Anteater. And one of them is saying, are the red ants right off the hill? This one is a bunch of like scientists. And it's the caption says analyzing humor, and they're like looking at like a stereotypical prop stand-up comedian printout that's like labeled, and there's a professor pointing to things on it, but he also has a kick me sign on his back. So I guess they're analyzing humor in the fullest. This one is captioned. I like this one. This one's captioned stimulus response behavior in dogs, and basically like this dog is asleep in its human's living room, and there's a man coming into the room, and he just like tripped and fell into his dinner, like face first into his plate of food, and like just fell on the floor, and the dog's wagging his tail, and that's all it is. It's just like the dog likes that this guy fell over and landed in his food, because I guess he thinks it's funny, or he doesn't like the guy. I don't know. This one is like, it's 3 scientists. Two of them are like flirtatiously looking at each other, and there's another scientist trying to talk to the male scientist, and he's saying, I believe, Farnsworth, that the data from the previous tissue sample was Farnsworth. Are you listening to me? But Farnsworth is not listening because he's looking at the female scientist and imagining a heart in his brain, but like an anatomically correct one. So I guess it's just like, the joke is that it's a real heart. I don't know. That one. This one is this one's like a salesman, and I guess he came to this lady's house and left, but he forgot his hat, and she's rigged it up over like a pitfall trap. So like he's got to get the hat. He came back for his hat, but she's set up a trap to, I guess, either kill him or like Silence of the Lambs type Buffalo Bill, like trap him in a hole in the floor. I don't know. She's doesn't have the best interest of this salesman at heart. This one is a tentacled alien covered with a bunch of eyes, covering another tentacle alien with a bunch of eyes, and it's covering most of its eyes with its tentacles, and it's saying, guess who? We don't need to spend more time on that. This one says nature scenes we rarely see, and it's a deer jumping over a log, but its antlers are like, it like got snagged by a branch. I like this one. This one's a man and a woman and their son in their house. And the son is like playing, but there's a big pit full of snakes in the middle of their floor. And the woman has just like picked her son up. He was about to ride his tricycle into the pit of snakes. And she's saying, that time was just too close, George. Jimmy was headed straight for the snake pit when I grabbed him. So I guess they aren't getting rid of the snake pit, but they know that like they gotta watch out because Jimmy could fall in. This one's a big herd of elephants, and a man has shot one of them with like a blowgun, and one of them is he's just like surprised, I guess. This one is a chameleon in therapy. He's laying on the couch, and the doctor is saying, listen, you gotta relax. The more you think about changing colors, the less chance you'll succeed. Shall we try the green background again? So this chameleon has trouble changing colors because he has anxiety. This one is a caveman comic entitled The Birth of Jazz. One caveman in the background is just hitting a rock with another rock, and it's going bonk, 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 bonk. And then there's one in the foreground with like cool round sunglasses hitting the rock that says, and it's saying be bonk, be bonk, be bonk. This one is entitled Humor in the Old West, and it's like it's a native person pushing like dummy a dummy version of himself off a cliff onto a cowboy and yelling Indians to, I guess, scare him. But I guess it's like a prank. I don't know. Weird. This is another Anteater comic. I guess for like March, Gary was really interested in anteaters briefly. And it says Anteaters of the Future. And it's an anteater looking at an anthill through a scope that is growing out of its nose, its nose is a sniper. This one is a man driving through the jungle somehow in his car, and he's just crashed into a tree, and a snake that I guess was coiled around a branch of the tree is falling out and going, and I guess it's gonna fall into the car. But maybe he shouldn't drive his car in the jungle. This one is, it's two scientists and a dog. And they're saying, oh, look at that shyster. Dogs are so cute when they try to comprehend quantum mechanics. This one is two cows. And they're sitting in a living room that I guess they own. They might not because of what's going on in the comic. But there's a phone ringing, and one of them is saying, well, there it goes again, and we just sit here without opposable thumbs. So, like, the joke is that, like, I think the joke is that they live in this house, but, like, everything is meant for humans. I'm not sure if they, like, stole it from some humans. I don't think so. I think they just, like, have human appliances, but they can't use them because they're cows. But, I don't know. A lot of questions coming from that comic. This one's a guy with a really big head coming out of the jungle into like a headhunter village. Like they got like heads on spikes. They're real headhunters. And he's got a huge head. Like it's bigger than the rest of his body. And it says, unwittingly, Palmer stepped out of the jungle and into headhunter folklore forever. So they're gonna cut off his head because it's big, but it's notable. This one is a dog talking to his owner, and she's looking up at the sky, and there's a bunch of flying saucers full of dogs, and the dog is standing on 2 feet and saying, well, they finally came, but before I go, let's see you roll over a couple of times. I would do that. That's not like... If my dog turned out to be an alien and was like, can you do some tricks before I go? There's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, kind of endearing that he's not like, we're gonna kill you and for enslaving us. I don't know. I just feel like the let's see you roll over a couple of times is supposed to be like bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into this too much. This one is a ship sinking and like lifeboats being paddled away, and there's one person left on the ship, and it's the ship's cook. We can see the captain in one of the lifeboats, and the cook is thinking, I wonder if that's really true. The cook always goes down with the ship. So, like, the captain is supposed to go down with the ship, but I guess he convinced everyone else that, like, it's really supposed to be the cook, including the cook. Like, the cook believed the captain. So, I don't know. I don't get this one, but it's called Humor at its lowest form. There's been a lot of these. There's been a lot that are just like Humor X or X Humor. It's two amoebas. They're wearing clothes. And one of them is saying shirt's on fire. Now it's out and like pulling his shirt up. I don't get it. I'm gonna move on. Yay, April. This one is a deer with like a black belt, and he's going Kia. He's surrounded by wolves. So it's like the dog knows martial arts and is gonna attempt to fight off the wolves. The wolves don't look very concerned. I think the wolves are gonna win. Maybe he's a master. But we'll see. This one is, I don't know what these are. Lemmings or something? Groundhogs? Well, one of them's tripping over a hole in the ground, and the other one's going, Carl, watch for holes. This one is a bunch of humans carrying a giant, like, leg of some creature, like a giant chicken leg, through the streets of a city. And it says how social animals work together. So I guess it's kind of like humans or ants, but humans are social animals, and it's a good point. This one is a bunch of plains. I guess they're southwestern. Oh my god. He's barking again. Please stop, Jed. There's no reason to bark. Oh my god. So these natives have pulled a prank on one of their fellow warriors by giving him like a, you know those guns where you shoot them and like thing says bang instead of like the fake guns. It's that, but it's a bow and arrow, and it says swoosh, exclamation point. It says releasing the shaft, red bear falls victim to the old fake bow and arrow trick. This one doesn't need a caption. It could just be what it is. This one's a deer hiding behind a tree, and there's a hunter hiding behind a tree nearby. And the deer is thinking, he's trying to shoot me, all right. Do I know this guy? I've got to think. So I guess like the deer thinks that this hunter has it out for him personally, but the hunter just wants to kill him for human selfish reasons. I don't know. Weird one. How much we got? God. Let's try to burn through these quick. This one's two pilots. And the cockpit door's open for some reason. So we have like the perspective of the alley of the plane. Or not the alley, the aisle of the plane. And they're both, the pilot and the co-pilot are like looking on the floor for something, but they're looking really close. And the caption says, well, there is some irony in all of this, you know. I mean, we both lose a contact at the same time. This one is a man with a peg leg walking through the desert, and a rattlesnake with like a scrunched up nose is in the foreground. So I guess the rattlesnake tried to bite his peg leg and fucked up its mouth. This one is a big fat cat laying underneath a tree, and it's below a nest just filled with birds, but it doesn't seem to have noticed them. And it says, what to do today, what to do. So like the cat could have a pretty good day, but I don't think it's gonna. This one is a dog drinking from a bottle. Like, it's like the dog is like sneaking stuff from the fridge, but it's drinking out of a bottle, and it's standing on two legs, but it's been caught by the human that owns the fridge. And she's saying, aha, as I always suspected, I better not ever catch you drinking right from the bottle again. This one is like the Pequot, and like Ahab's in the front of the boat, and there's a guy in the crow's nest going, the white whale, oh well, no, my mistake, a black whale, a regular black whale. So not the best lookout. Ahab looks confused. This one is a dog making flap cats, like flapjacks, but cats, I guess, like flattened cats in a box. I don't know. Kind of sad. This one is, I think, also groundhog themed. It's or something. Something's digging a hole in this farmer's garden. And he's saying, so they're back, are they? And the reason he knows that they're back is because they have like a hat rack next to the hole. This one is a family of ugly people, except for Johnny, I guess. Johnny's not a looker, but he's not ugly. And they're doing the slideshow thing of their trip to the Grand Canyon, and Johnny is doing like the thing where you pull your cheeks aside and stick out your tongue. And the father figure who is narrating the slideshow is saying, well, here we all are at the Grand Canyon, but as usual, Johnny had to ruin the picture for everyone else. The joke is that they all look weird already. So, like, what damage is Johnny gonna do? But I guess they just wanted a nice picture and he ruined it. This one is, aliens, with a lighter. Like, just like a Bic lighter. And it's saying to the other alien, there's a big crowd of people, and it's saying to the other alien, well, they're unimpressed. And now what are we going to do with 50 cases of butane lighters? So I guess they thought they were going to, like, bring fire to humanity. But humans were just like, oh, we got that. And now they have, like, 50 cases of lighters that they don't know what to do with. But at least they're, like, nice, I guess. I don't know. It seems like they want to distribute the lighters. This one is a bunch of bears, and they've tied a hunter to a tree, but he's like smiling and laughing. And he's saying, do what you will to me, but I'll never talk, never. And after me there'll come others, and others, and others. Ha ha ha. So this hunter is like, whatever you do to me, you're still gonna get killed by other humans. And that, wow. This one's a cat looking out like a fat cat looking out the window, and outside it's the house that it lives in. There's been two trucks have crashed. One of them is Bob's Assorted Rodents, and one of them is Al's Small Flightless Birds. And like the drivers are arguing while all the animals get out, and the cat just has to watch them because it can't get out of the house. This one is a guy taking his wife's picture, but she's covered in suction marks, and she really looks like she caught like a big octopus, but looks like it was a really terrible experience. And she's covered in suction marks, she's soaking wet, and she looks really unhappy. And her husband, who I guess wasn't involved with the catch, is saying, ooh, I know, Doris, drape one of his arms over your shoulder. This one is, it's a cave woman, and she's making something out of a mammoth, but it's like in a bowl. And she's saying, no, Zach, it's Wilga's turn to lick bowl. This one is a pig. It's a cowboy with a bunch of pigs, but there's one pig. There's one pig on like a hill. I think it's a reference to something, or like, I don't know. It says, trying to calm the herd, Jake himself was suddenly awestruck by the image of beauty and unbridled fury on the cliff above. Pink shadow had returned. I think they're like supposed to be horses, but they're pigs, so it's like less beautiful. I don't know. Let's just get to May and get this awful thing I do over with. Well, we gotta get to June, but May is next. This one's just like a guy just like swinging his wife around the living room. But they got a bunch of like models. Like they got a model mountain, a model horse, model house, model tree, model cow. I guess they're just like, he's just like helping his wife pretend that she's flying? I have no idea. This one's really bizarre. But it says on the next pass, however, Helen failed to clear the mountains. This one's two dragons. One of them has pulled the cover of their bed back, and it's full of like armor of like, I guess, like dead knights. And the 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 dragon is saying, "What have I told you about eating in bed?" This one is a lighthouse keeper with a box of light bulbs, like really hurriedly running into the lighthouse. Because I guess like the light is burnt out, but there's a giant ship about to crash into it, so he better hurry. This one is two lumberjacks, and they've just cut down like every tree in the forest. And they're eating lunch and sitting on a fallen tree, and one of them is saying to the other one, "You know what I'm saying? Me, for example, I couldn't work in some stuffy little office. The outdoors just calls to me." So it's like they're destroying the outdoors, but they claim to love them. This one is called Early Pleistocene Mermaids, and it's just like cavemen, but they're mermaids. This one says, knowing the lion's preference for red meat, the spamalopes remained calm but wary. And there's like 3 antelopes made out of spam. This one is 2 stick figure, well, 3. There's a mother stick figure, her son, who is like scribbled up, and the doctor stick figure who is making a house call. And she's saying, "Thank goodness you're here, doctor. I came in this morning and found Billy just all scribbled like this." This one is a bus labeled Mountain Tours, and it's going down a really steep mountain, and it's saying, the bus driver is yelling, no brakes, no brakes, just kidding. And it says, the boy who cried no brakes. So I guess it doesn't have any brakes. This one is a whale. It's like someone recording whale noises, but a whale has approached and is singing a Louie Louie woo woo, we gotta go now. I don't know what song that is. I'm sorry I'm rushing, but this one is a bunch of it's 4 squirrels. 2 are leaving. The squirrels that they appear to have visited look very upset, and one of them has like really stuffed cheeks, and his companion is saying, "I've never been so embarrassed. After dinner, you just never gave up trying to cram the world into your cheek pouches." I don't get what happened. Because it says after dinner. So what was he eating? I don't know. This one's a bunch of lemmings running off a hill into the water, and one of them is going cannonball. He's accepted his death. This one's cavemen based again. It says it's 3 cavemen looking at a caveman dancing, but like he's not having a good, like he's like freaking out more than anything. And it says Grog Schwartz eats some bad beetle grubs and the art of dance is born. This one is like, it's a detective, a police officer, and like the person they're questioning in front of a criminal lineup to I guess the guy's there to identify which of these kangaroos broke the law. And he's saying, don't rush me. I've always gotten my kangaroos and wallabies confused." This one is 3, 4, 5 cavemen. One of them is tied to a chair. The other ones are like pointing cavemen weapons at him. And he's saying, "Okay, I'll talk. Take 2 sticks of approximately equal size and weight. Rub them together at opposing angles using short, brisk strokes." So like this caveman knows how to make fire, but the other ones don't. So they're like torturing it out of him. There's only 4 cavemen. This one's a bunch of jungle folk carrying a giant carrot through the woods. I guess they're cavemen. It says early vegetarians returning from the kill. And they all got like shovels instead of spears. That one's, I don't know, I like that one. This one's a split panel comic. In the first panel, it's 3 women. One of them has just answered the phone, and she's saying, "Ladies, he's back. Our mystery man who does the Donald Duck impression." And in the lower panel, it's like a giant duck man in a suit. So I guess this duck just calls these ladies and does a Donald Duck impression for them. I don't know why. This one's kind of scary. This one's 2 chickens. One of them's in bed, presumably sick with it's got the flu. The chicken in bed has the flu. And the other chicken has just brought it a bowl of chicken soup and is saying, "Quit complaining and eat it. Number 1, chicken soup is good for the flu. And number 2, it's nobody we know." Listen, I have no problem with cannibalism, but if I was sick and someone was like, "Human soup's the best way to go," I'd be like, "What?" And if they were like, "Oh, don't worry, it's no one you know," I'd say, "What?" So I don't know. I think this, at the very least, I don't think this chicken is overreacting about being served its own kind by another member of its own kind. This one is very similar to the first one we talked about today. It's a dog. This is literally like the same comic. But it's a different dog. And it's remember the dog it was like we found can dogs talk? We found one that's willing to try. I guess that dog was like a trailblazer for other talking dogs, because in this one, the caption says, "So tell us, Buffy, how long have you been a talking dog?" And there's like cue cards that say, "Well, Jim, I've been talking for quite some time now." So I hope there's more expansion on this, because Gary seems to really like this joke, and he keeps redoing it at least twice. But like, there's a lot of potential here, and I hope it comes back. I hope the third one is another dog on TV, but in that one it's actually talking. I think Gary is just like editing his old comics to make them better. I don't know. This one is Leonardo da Vinci's hand reaching for a matchbook, and there's a horse on it that says "Draw me," and it says, "One day, as he nonchalantly reaches for a match, Leonardo da Vinci's life is suddenly transformed." So I guess Leonardo da Vinci was gonna just light this candle in the foreground, but the matchbook has a horse drawing thing. I don't know, did matchbooks challenge you to draw a thing? I don't know. But I guess he really liked drawing the horse and was just like, "I'm gonna be an artist." This one's 3 cavemen trying to kill a water buffalo. They're not doing too well, but there's 3 cave women on a hill, like that are cheerleaders, and they're cheering them on. This one's a bunch of birds on a desert island, and there's 2 arriving dressed in like stereotypical tourist attire. And one of them is saying, "Well, more arrivals from the States, I see." So I guess they're American, because they're dressed tackily, which makes sense. So this is a squid comic. It's 2 children squids in bed. Like, They share a room with separate beds, but I think they're brothers. And one's saying, "Oh yeah, Jerry. Oh yeah, Jerry. You just remember to keep your tentacles on your own side." And it says the squid kid's at home. So I guess Jerry keeps reaching over to his brother's bed. I don't know. This is a couple in a car on the moon. And the woman is saying, "For heaven's sake, Elroy, now look where the earth is. Move over and let me drive." So I'm not sure if they got lost on Earth and ended up on the moon, or if they've been lost on the moon the whole time. Because one is much more of an issue. Like, if these people live on the moon and they're just using the Earth to navigate, this might not be that big of a deal. But it really seems like they were on Earth and somehow ended up on the moon. This one is like the dog Three Stooges, I guess. They're trying to kill a cat in a tree with a gun. So far, they've succeeded in shooting the tree a bunch of times. The caption says dog stooges. One of them is saying, "Rats, we're getting nowhere fast. The long end has to go up higher." And the other one's saying, "Listen, what if I come around to the other side or something?" And there's another one that they're both stepping on. And he's saying, "Hey." No. He's saying, "He's still there. Ow, hey, you idiots." So they're not doing too well in their quest to shoot this cat. This one is a hunter in the woods, and he's found two, like, deer outhouses. And it says, "Hank knew this place well. He need only wait. The deer would come. The deer would come." So he's just gonna wait for the deer to go to the bathroom and kill them. This one is a ant hill, and there's a Trojan horse type situation going on. There's a big wooden horse outside their ant hill, and one of them is saying, "I don't know about this. The red ants never gave us anything before." This one's Humpty Dumpty, and he's fallen off the wall, and he's saying, "Well, I'll be danged. I'm okay, but the wall is about to fall on him and crush him." So he's not okay. Or he's not gonna be okay for long. I'm gonna stop after this, maybe. We'll see. This one's a bunch of, like, Vikings or barbarians or something. And they're eating. But one of them has his elbows on the table. And, like, the lead Viking is saying, question, can anyone here tell me what Hansen here is doing wrong with his elbows? So, like, you're not supposed to eat with your elbows on the table according to traditional Western etiquette, but, like, he's trying to make a point to the other Vikings that, like, they shouldn't eat with their arms on the table. But it's like, the joke is, like, they don't have, like, shirts on, and they're eating, like, meat off a wooden table with, like, stains on it. Whatever. This one may be a continuation of the Dog Stooge comic, because it's the same cat in a similar tree, and it's like this fireman took a cat out of a tree that was caught in the tree, and it's giving it to a dog dressed as a female human. Like, this dog pretended to be the cat's owner so it could eat it, but the fireman hasn't figured that out, and it's saying, "Now calm down there, ma'am, your cat's gonna be fine, just fine." So I think this is just a smarter dog that came along after the Stooges left. This one's a duck at a bar with other humans, and there's two humans listening to the duck. And the duck is saying, "I tell you, she's driving me nuts. I come home at night and it's quack, quack, quack. I get up in the morning and it's quack, quack, quack." So this duck doesn't like his wife because she's quacking at him. This one is It's two scientists at the Center for the Study of Viral Pathology, and they've just dropped a jar out the window onto a busy city street. And they're saying, uh-oh, because I guess they just, like, they let a virus out in the middle of the city. And it's gonna presumably infect everyone. This one's a man on a desert island sitting under a palm tree, but a flying saucer has crashed in the water nearby, and four like tentacled aliens are swimming over to the desert island. So I guess he's gonna have some company. Maybe they'll figure out a way to get him off the island. This one's three giraffes. They've got a chair, and one of them's standing on the chair. And the one of the other giraffes is saying, "No lions anywhere. Let me have the chair." So like they're using the chair to stand like slightly taller than they already. The joke is that giraffes are tall, and they are. But they're disputing whether or not there's actually lions around. I don't want to read this page. All right. I'll catch you later. It's nighttime now. Well, see you.